Hi guys, this is a redo of the last video. It's been a week for NASA. First, the much-loved Hubble Space Telescope entered safe mode after one of the gyroscopes that points it in the right direction failed. Then there was a mid-flight failure of a Russian Soyuz rocket on Thursday morning, resulting in the safe emergency landing of cosmonaut Alexei Ovechkin and astronaut Nick Hague, something that's left the space organization without a way to get people into space and the crew of the International Space Station marooned. Now the Chandra X-ray Observatory is having issues. The observatory, which has been showing us the universe in incredible detail since 1999, entered safe mode on Wednesday, October the 10th. Safe mode is basically a protective configuration that keeps the telescope stable until ground control can work on what's going on and get the mission back on track. NASA isn't sure what caused the problem with Chandra, but it suspects it might also involve a gyroscope. All systems functioned as expected, and the scientific instruments are safe, NASA wrote on October the 12th. The cause of the safe mode transition is under investigation, and we will post more information when it becomes available. Gyroscopes are important because they help spacecraft stay orientated properly. To add to NASA's woes, its Mars rover Opportunity since June 10th, when a dust storm kept its solar panels from getting sunlight. Its planet-hunting telescope Kepler is almost out of fuel, as is the Dawn spacecraft. Not only that, but the news about the hole being drilled into the International Space Station by accident. Don't ask me how that can happen. And the Solar Observatory being shut down as well, with the images of what look like eclipses of the sun. So there's a lot of things going on up there, and I don't think they want us to know about it. So all the observation equipment that they're using is going into safe mode or breaking down, or something's happening. So we've got to keep an eye on what's going on up there, as well as keeping an eye on what's going on down below, because USGS is warning that some earthquake monitoring GPS stations have been destroyed. These stations are used to monitor ground deformation. So with some of them being destroyed in a particular location, we're not sure if there's something else going on there that they don't want the information to be uploaded to the internet. So the United States Geological Survey confirmed none of its instruments at Swatell Peak Station P361 are transmitting data. GPS station P361 is a crucial element of the USGS network of trackers near active Yellowstone volcano faults. The instruments at P361 are located at an important site about 18.64 miles west of the Yellowstone National Border in Idaho. Geologists at the USGS use a network of GPS stations around the supervolcano to measure the ground for signs of ground deformation. The station picks up warning signs of Yellowstone earthquakes and the immense volcanic pressures that cause them. Station P361 is particularly important to the USGS because it relays data to additional GPS arrays nearby. The USGS believes the station lost its GPS and communications antennas in an intense electrical storm. Now I'm going to stop there because I don't believe that an electrical storm would have taken these GPS stations and communication antennas out of action. They've been up for a long time. There's been multiple thunderstorms and lightning storms since then. You could argue that this one was more severe, but I don't agree. I think there's something else going on there that they don't want us to know about. At the same time, they still have this crazy idea of drilling into Yellowstone, not directly into the magma chamber, of course, but drilling into Yellowstone and pumping it with water to cool it down. How are you going to cool a supervolcano like that? It's supplied by the Earth's mantle. You can't cool the Earth's mantle, so what they're saying doesn't make any sense. It's more likely they want to use it for geothermal energy, which already we've seen multiple volcanic eruptions around volcanoes where there's geothermal facilities. So keep an eye on that. I want to give a warning for London, UK on October the 25th, October the 27th. Main points of interpretation are coming from the shark and from the hangman. I have done the interpretation for the shark and the hangman and multiple other things, but they're multiple layered, so always kind of coming back and looking at it in a slightly different way. Now you've got the number to make it a bit bigger. So you've got the number 2 as the shark's mouth, and then as pointed out in the video before last, these teeth could interpret as the letter V, which could be Roman numeral for 5, or they could be slanted 7s. Now either way, I'm putting both interpretations there, so either the 25th or the 27th, something to do with the UK. As mentioned, there's this connection to the pound coin symbol, which is drawn for the shark's head, and at the same time, the hangman over here is also probably or possibly representing 10 and 10, which is 20, and then V for 5, or even a 7 slanted, kind of like in bubble writing. So 25th, 27th, I want to give a warning for the UK. I don't know if it's going to be something to do with the royal family, chemical tag, something to do with the underground, or something linked to the O2, or even the Transport for London network. Could be a mixture of most of those things, considering you can have an underground chemical explosion in central London, which affects the royal family as well. So there's a lot of things that could potentially happen, so I'll point them out. Just before I explain that a little bit more, I just wanted to point out that from this interpretation, it looks like Kilauea erupts on 11/1, which would be in Hawaii. I believe that would be at midnight, which means the tsunami that will be generated will take about 2 hours to cross from Hawaii to the west coast, so it would be 2 o'clock there. I think that's what we're getting here outside, with the 12 o'clock reference for the Kilauea eruption, and then a small indentation at the number 2 point. I'll see if I can actually show you guys. Come back a little bit. Okay, I can see it. I'm not sure if you guys can, but there's a small indentation here at the number 2. So if Kilauea erupts in Hawaii on the 1st of November at midnight, or 12 o'clock, it would then take around 2 hours for the tsunami that will be generated by the Helena slump going into the ocean to cross the Pacific to reach the west coast. So that would be 2 o'clock. So it may be that this is referencing the eruption and the tsunami in both locations, Hawaii and the west coast. Keeping that in mind, we then have the reference to 11/3, where on 11/3, I think is when the tsunami for the east coast comes, and that will be generated by submarines. Following on from that, the submarines and the naval, lost the word, the navy basically of other countries would be able to follow behind that tsunami and attack. There may or may not be a hurricane at the same time. If there is, it's possible it could be named Oscar, which is God's spear. A military maneuver is to use the first force to break the lines of defense. So if you imagine the hurricane and the tsunami are the first attacking force and they break the first lines of defense, then the second force could follow up and obviously have easier access because the coasts have been affected, and obviously we know most of the naval stations are along the coast. So keeping an eye out for all that. But in relation to October 25th, 27th, the reason I mention it, not just because it's possibly interpreted from the iPad Go 2 video, but we're in the period of the Invictus Games again. And obviously you guys know what I've said about Prince Harry and how I think he's connected to the Antichrist system. He's got the reference to the I am, various Masonic hand symbols and all sorts of things. But he's out of the country. So if anything occurs October 25th, October 27th, which is when the Invictus Games ends, and it involves the royal family, for example, the Queen, or the line of succession gets wiped out. I believe Harry is 6th in line. He could be crowned king, and at the same time, he's having a baby. Or Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are having a baby together. This is weird for me because Prince Harry is a UK citizen, and he's decided, or they decided, to announce this pregnancy in Australia. So it's not as if they discovered that she was pregnant on the plane and then announced it in Australia. They knew before she went. So rather than announcing it in your home country, the UK, you decide to announce it abroad during the Invictus Games, the I am reference, the whole Antichrist thing. So I would put a very strong watch on what's going on throughout this time period leading up to the 27th of October, in particular in connection with the UK and the possibility of the line of succession being wiped out and Prince Harry becoming King Harry, and then his child being the next one to take the throne. Kind of a lot of things to watch out for there. Now, if the UK is attacked on October the 25th or October the 27th, whether that's chemical, underground detonation, something else, they're most likely going to blame Iran, because there's reports out, as you can see on screen, that fears are spiking of Iran planning a terror attack across Europe. The UK is obviously part of Europe. So fears are growing. Iran could be plotting a wave of terror attacks across Europe and North America after a plot to bomb a massive Iranian opposition rally was foiled, it has been claimed. In July, an Iranian diplomat and a couple of Iranian dissidents were arrested in Germany and Belgium, respectively, on suspicion of plotting to bomb an Iranian dissidents' rally in Paris. The supposed diplomat, Vienna-based Asadollah Astadi, had provided the couple with explosives and a detonator. The targeted rally was organized by the Mujahideen-e-Khalil, I think, group which seeks to overthrow the Iranian government and was attended by thousands, including President Trump's personal lawyer, Giuliani. A senior German official said there are clear indications for calling this a case of state terrorism. There has been increased Iranian activity in a number of Western countries. Our Middle Eastern intelligence official claimed there has been a definite uptick in operations and the Iranians are preparing themselves for the possibility of conflict. Now, we know that they've got the whole alleged chemical weapons attack. If that goes down in Syria, there's the potential of blaming Syria to, attack Iran in Syria. That's the baseline of it. But if the UK is attacked, they're going to blame Iran, and that would kind of throw off the decision that the EU and Iran has come to around the nuclear deal, which is to be announced before November the 4th. So if something happens to one of the EU members, the UK, around the 25th, 27th of October, then the nuclear deal is definitely off. The sanctions come into place, and we have the whole volatile situation of Iran coming out and blocking the Strait of Hormuz. Now, my thoughts before were, okay, the Iran's oil sanctions are coming into place. Most likely around that time, they will do something about it, as they said they would. But at the same time, it's more likely that they will come out if they are being accused of attacking the UK and other countries are getting ready to attack them, like Israel, the United States, and other EU countries. So it seems to be all lined up, ready to go for Iran. And at the same time, Vladimir Putin shows off his nuclear capability in connection with the submarines. So October 25th, 27th, UK, something happens, blame Iran. October 31st, war's going on with Iran. They come out and block the Straits of Hormuz. 1st of November, Kilauea erupts. Kilauea erupts at midnight. 2 hours after, on the 2nd of November at 2 o'clock in the morning, we're looking at the west coast and something approaching, like a mega tsunami. That day ticks on by, and then 11/3 comes on, and we're looking at a potential for a tsunami on the east coast around 3 o'clock. I don't know if that's morning or afternoon. I'm thinking afternoon because of the references to the children and the classroom, and that's the time they finish school. Got a clear reference to exit in the classroom, so that could be showing us a time, as in the time that children leave school, which is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If that happens, there is a government plan where they will take the children using the yellow school buses to designated safe zones. However, in an event like a tsunami on the East Coast, what would happen to the children that lost their parents? Or would parents be told that their children have been lost, but really they're somewhere else in this new world order, where they would come out as, well, they would go in as children, but they would come out as soldiers for the new world order. And because they haven't had, the comforts of family, their only loyalties would be to the state or to whatever forces are directing them, which, makes things a lot more difficult. But that's the way they want it. So I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover and did cover in the last video, but a lot of you complained about the audio. Just a point on that, I appreciate the comments about the audio, but I am aware of them, just to make it clear. I am very aware. I do listen to my videos again, and with that one, I would have normally recorded it up to 3 times to try and get it right and then select the best one. But as I mentioned, I have a cough, and throughout this video, I've been able to hold it back and talk loud, but it has been a bit of a struggle. So, excuse me. I failed right at the end. Either way, you guys, I'll keep an eye on the information that's coming out. I'll interpret and update as I normally do, and we'll see if anything happens. But first warning, UK October 25th, 27th, looking out for anything happening that could potentially make Prince Harry become King Harry, and then his child would be Prince, whatever his name would be. I'm pretty sure they'll choose something significant. So, you guys, have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.